Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Automate and Simplify Estate Planning Intake with DecisionVault and Leap. My name is Ari Bulmash, and I'm the Director of Estate Planning and Administration at Leap US. In practice myself, I always look for innovative ways to streamline my practice and reduce errors. While I was able to create a digital intake system for gathering contact and other case information from my clients, there was still a manual process of re-entering that information within my practice management system and the forms. Today, you will get to see how DecisionVault's integration with Leap reduces this hurdle almost entirely by having a digital intake system that imports all relevant contact information to be used in drafting your client's estate planning documents. Leap is designed to handle all of your firm's matters with features including billing and payment collection, data collection, and most importantly when it comes to estate planning, document automation and management, along with secure file sharing. By maintaining a single source of data for your client's estate plans, you can avoid duplicative data entry between your practice management system and all of your document automation. Of course, document automation in Leap includes the integration with WealthCounsel. To further improve your workflow, using a digital intake that syncs with Leap allows you to maintain that single data source with reliable contact detail information provided by your clients. In today's webinar, we will be joined by Wouter, the founder and CEO of DecisionVault, who will run through an overview of DecisionVault's fully customizable intake platform born from an estate planning practice, information gathering, the design process, and more within the DecisionVault platform, and finally, importing contact information into Leap to use in drafting via WealthCounsel in Leap and other customized documents that are part of your library. Now, I'm going to hand the presentation over to Wouter, who will give you an overview of DecisionVault and its integration with Leap. At the end, we will take a look at how this information is saved to Leap as a matter and how this integration then works with drafting via the WealthCounsel integration in Leap.
Thanks, Ari. Hey, my name is Wouter Eichelse. I'm the founder and CEO of DecisionVault. In the beginning of 2020, my wife Julia, who has an estate planning practice, had a matter in her practice where a client wanted to nominate 37 beneficiaries as part of their plan. And she ran that how she was running her project at the time, which was send the client a fillable PDF, sit down with them and have a design meeting, and then deal with the fact that you're going to gather extra information afterwards over email back and forth with the client. And I helped her out with this matter, and it was a lot of data entry into her draft platform, WealthCounsel, to get the names of all these 37 people from the client and then into WealthCounsel to do the drafting. So that made us look and ask the question, hey, it's 2020. Shouldn't this just transfer seamlessly? Is there someone out there who's figured out to send some link to a client, have them fill it in, and then have the information just go to the places where it needs to go? And when I tried to do that with the tools that were available at the time, I found that no, this was not a thing that was possible. And the biggest limitation really was on the side of the intake forms not being smart enough to gather all that info to begin with. So the fact that some of these tools had integrations with others doesn't really help you at all because you cannot capture the info to begin with. So that's what prompted us to start development on what's now this tool called DecisionVault, which is an online portal, an intake portal, where you can collaborate with your clients, gather info from them, and then put it in the legal tools where you need that info. So we're looking here at the dashboard, but let's open one of these standard links. So this is a link, you would send a link to a client to get them to create an account. So this is one of the differences because lots of tools have intake forms, but they're not at the same level of capability. And I'll show you what that all means. So we're asking the client to create an account, and that's what makes it possible that they can start on it, they can fill it in, they can take a break. We can give their spouse access as well. Multiple people can have access to the same questionnaire and matter. And then the biggest thing that this solves with having accounts is the sort of the 3 extra people problem. So you send this to a client, they fill it in before they would come in for an initial consult or the design meeting, and they submit it to you. Well, in that meeting, probably during the conversation about who should be a short-term guardian, a long-term guardian, who are all the important people in your life, some extra people might come up in that conversation. And with all the other intake forms, there's usually no good way to gather that info from those people. So that's information that ends up in email back and forth again and needs to get manually added into the draft platform. And with DecisionVault, because they have an account, a client can just log back in after the conversation and enter the names of those people, add some extra addresses, or upload some extra files. So once the client creates an account, they land on a welcome screen like this. Here, as well as elsewhere in the questionnaire, you can embed video. So some law firms have welcome videos. Others throughout the questionnaire have little explainers to explain why certain questions are asked. And ultimately, you record it once, the client can watch it, and maybe it'll trim down some on the time spent in the meeting with the client because they come in more informed. Then after the welcome message, they get into this central menu of the questionnaire. And the idea of sort of the little times on the right-hand side is that it gives the client permission to not do it all at once. You can step away, it auto-saves. Some of these things take more time, filling in the assets, uploading files. So that it also hides a lot of the length of the questionnaire, because when you send a client a fillable PDF, there's that moment of the shrug when you see that there's 17 pages in this fillable PDF. And most of that is asset intake. But the client doesn't really know that. So they're feeling like this is a lot of work. I should maybe do this later, and later leads to not at all, right? So here they're guided through the steps of the questionnaire, asking, hey, who are you? Are you married? Who's your spouse? Who are your children? We can put some extra questions in front of the client. So Ari was giving the example that he put in, what is your favorite color? You can put whatever question you want in here. Extra context questions, things you might want to know from the client before coming in. And also you can prompt them to start thinking about who some of the people might be who go into these different roles, right? Are they a beneficiary, or they're going to be a trustee or a power of attorney? So we have functionality here that you can all customize what the exact language is of these questions, etc. The other thing that DecisionVault is really good at is doing financial intake. So this is hard to do with other types of legal software that have intake forms. And really, oftentimes the only solution that can be done is to put in a free text field where the client is asked to please type in how much do you own under each category. What do you have in real estate? Please list out your bank accounts and the approximate balances. What do you have in retirement accounts, vehicles? And then it's hard on the client because they have to type all that out. But then it's also hard on you and your staff because it's not possible to just get a glimpse of, okay, so does this person have a taxable estate? So in DecisionVault here, we have a strong default. So this just works out of the box. But then you can customize a lot of that, of what the different questions are, what the different options are, etc., around financial intake, as well as letting you, it's not turned on for this one, but you can let the client upload statements right in here. So it keeps that statement file together with the financial asset that it's about. So it makes it a lot easier to kind of reconcile, like, hey, do I have sort of proof of all these balances, right? That's important for estate planning, but this is commonly also used for doing estate settlement, administration type cases. So there, having this as a self-updating nice list of assets is really useful if you're going to run this for 6 to 9 months. On the back end, once you jump over to the firm staff side, You can export this directly to Excel, and that's what this looks like. So here, when people are married, it adds this little breakdown to see like which of the spouses owns what, and it shows the different category totals, etc. So this is a lot faster than having to reconstruct it from text. The tool also lets you ask for files to upload, and it actually doesn't. One of the ways to do that is with these yes/no questions. So in this example section, I have these two where the client might answer yes, they can get out of it. The section gets checked off. But actually, one of those was set up to ask for a file in case it was answered yes. So now once they get to documents, they are asked to go find that file, including other files. But it doesn't interrupt the user as they're going through the questionnaire. So jumping to the firm staff side of DecisionVault, here I'm looking at that matter. I can start to see a list of contacts that were entered. I can see a list of documents that were uploaded, the different financials, see a preview of the financials, including any files that were uploaded as part of the financial intake. And then from here, I can export the information and or sync it over to other tools. With DecisionVault, we've digitized the intake of information from the client, and they can do that over time. They can come back into it. But then there is the how do we run the meeting with the client, and how do I document the design choices of how we're going to draft this person's plan, if it's estate planning. So for that, we have this concept of a design sheet. And there is an example that comes with the DecisionVault questionnaire by default. So I'll run you through that. But the important thing to remember here is that this is fully like choose your own adventure. The questionnaire can get customized a lot. This can customize completely. You can completely wipe this clean and start over. But the idea here is that this is like a attorney-only section to the questionnaire that you can have open while you're running a meeting with the client. And the client never sees this. This is meant for, you can put as much sort of shorthand between you and whoever's doing the drafting in your firm in here. The idea is that it gives you an easy way to document all those choices. So what's happening here? Let me show you. So we can run this on the screen like this, or I can show in a moment that you can export this to a Microsoft Word document that you can print and walk into a client meeting with, and then you can fill this in on paper. It's a different modality. This we can run as we're doing a virtual meeting, but then comes to the same outcome. So a client element, who are my two clients. This is a digital version, so I could actually edit it as I go along. It's possible to embed questions from the questionnaire in here. In this case, these were not answered, right? Community states and prenup. So now that I've answered those, the answer will show up on the questionnaire when the client logs in next. I can have extra notes fields, a list of the children. It auto-calculates the ages, preview of the assets that have been entered, and then I can start to document how are we going to draft this person's plan. We're going to do a joint trust. What's the name of the trust? What's the signing date? Who is going to be the trustee? So here I can put people in like numbered roles. Successor trustee, short-term guardian, etc. Here's that question from the questionnaire where we ask the client and have them start thinking about who would help with minor children. So here you can see they haven't selected anyone yet, but they might have selected some people. And then we can build up the actual list, numbered list of people, etc. So the idea is we run through this in the meeting, and at the end of the meeting, you might have to sit there for 10, 15 more minutes to add a little bit of notes, but that should be it as all the guidance for how this person's plan is supposed to be drafted. So this is what that looks like when we're doing it on the screen. And if somebody's missing, I can add another person to the questionnaire, etc. It's also possible to export this to Microsoft Word. And this is what that looks like. So here it's the same information, same questions, John and Mary. Here are those two questions that I just answered that were coming from the questionnaire. I have space to write notes. I see the list of children, the assets, and I can do checkboxes on a joint trust. Who's going to be the trustee? I can write a 1, a 2, a 3. So this just folds in a list of all the names that have been added to the questionnaire. So really, it makes it really simple to do a checklist like this because there's no prep or time spent on like putting this together. The system will just generate it for you, print it, walk into a client meeting, and start answering questions. Now then we have the integration to Leap. So from here, there's two choices. Either we link this to an existing Leap matter, or I can create a new matter in Leap and let the system create that. So if I'm linking it to an existing matter, I can search in my Leap matters from here, pick the matter that this relates to, and then the tool will ask me to map those people, because then that's how DecisionVault knows which contacts already exist on the matter and which ones then should get added. So I'm not going to do this now, but this is how we get to the same screen, right? If I just jump to just letting it create. So here you don't have to sync everyone, but you probably will want to if you're going to do some drafting. But I can make a sub selection if I already have some of these contacts maybe in Leap, and then I can run sync, and that will create that matter. It'll create those contacts in Leap, and then it takes a moment to refresh, but then this matter will show up in Leap for drafting. So that's where I hand it back over to Ari to show us that part. Thank you.
Thanks, Wouter. Now that we have synced the contacts to Leap, let's open up that matter and see the contacts entered by the clients into DecisionVault have been added to the matter as the clients, children, and additional contacts. By opening up one of the child cards, we can see the contact information completed in the sync. This includes first name, last name, phone number, their date of birth, and the fact that they're a United States citizen. These are all fields that will sync over to WealthCounsel or can be used in custom automation through Leap. Although all of these contacts are already available for drafting via the WealthCounsel integration, we can use the Leap feature Set As to mimic the design that was provided by the clients. For example, we can set Peter March as the alternate attorney-in-fact. Now we're ready to open the WealthCounsel integration and begin drafting using all of these contacts. We can start off in the WealthDocs RLT and create from a scenario. We can see now that the contacts that were entered into Leap via the integration with DecisionVault have all been now transferred seamlessly over to WealthCounsel as contacts that are related to the matter. We can then begin filling out the interview using those same contacts. For example, we can go to the family information and start adding the descendants. We can then proceed by adding the rest of the children from the matter and the rest of the contacts that were in the design provided by the clients. However, let's presume that there needs to be a change, and in discussions with the clients, you've been informed that they would like to add middle initials to all of the contacts. Now, of course, we can return to Leap by closing out of the integration. However, the best part about using this integration is having your clients fill this out. And if they would like to add the middle initials, they can simply return to DecisionVault and enter those names and enter any spelling changes or any middle initials that they would like to have, and simply send them to you to be resynced into Leap. So let's go back as if we're entering that questionnaire as the client and enter some middle initials. Now your client is back in the questionnaire and can edit the contacts that are here. We would simply then go back to the integrations menu and resync the children. When we return to the Leap matter, we will see the children with their middle initials. We can then re-enter the drafting documents. We then go to the WealthCounsel Matter Document screen and enter the answer set we were previously drafting in. You can see that the children have already been re-added with their middle initials. If we add the other children, we can then proceed with drafting. As you can see, using DecisionVault's integration with Leap allows your firm to operate more efficiently and significantly reduce data entry and errors in drafting. This is just a sample of what you can do with DecisionVault's integration with Leap. We're excited to have you create fully customizable intakes and simplify your data entry process as we continue to develop this integration.